You have been lied to, not intentionally perhaps, but systematically. The institutions you trusted to prepare you for life taught you how to memorize facts, how to follow instructions, how to compete for grades, but they never taught you the fundamental laws that actually govern human experience. They never showed you how life actually works beneath the surface of what is socially acceptable to discuss. Carl Jung understood this. He saw that most people stumble through existence confused, frustrated, bitter, not because they lack intelligence or effort, but because they are operating with an incomplete map of reality. They are playing a game without knowing the rules. And by the time they figure it out, decades have been wasted. There are 7 hidden laws of life that determine whether you thrive or whether you remain trapped in cycles of confusion and disappointment. These are not motivational concepts. These are psychological and existential principles that operate whether you acknowledge them or not. And the moment you understand them, the moment you start living in alignment with them, everything changes. Not because the world changes, but because you finally see how it has always worked. The first hidden law is this: your external reality is a mirror of your internal state. Not sometimes, not metaphorically, always. Jung called this projection, but it goes deeper than that. Everything you experience in the world, every relationship, every conflict, every opportunity, every obstacle, is reflecting back to you something about your own psyche. When you are unconscious of your shadow, when you have disowned parts of yourself, when you are fragmented internally, that fragmentation manifests externally as chaos, as dysfunction, as patterns that keep repeating no matter how many times you change your circumstances. Listen carefully. You cannot fix your life by rearranging external conditions. You cannot escape yourself by moving to a new city, starting a new relationship, or finding a new job. Wherever you go, you take your unintegrated material with you. And it will recreate the same dynamics in different settings until you finally turn inward and do the work of integration. This is not popular to hear because it strips away the comfortable illusion that your suffering is someone else's fault. But it is the truth, and the truth is what sets you free. Stop blaming your parents. Stop blaming your circumstances. Stop blaming the system. Yes, external conditions matter. Yes, injustice exists. But your power does not come from changing what is outside your control. Your power comes from transforming your relationship to yourself. When you integrate your shadow, when you stop projecting, when you become whole internally, your external reality begins to shift. Not through magic, but through the simple fact that you are no longer creating the same problems unconsciously. The second hidden law is that you do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. This destroys the fantasy that you can manipulate reality through positive thinking or vision boards or affirmations. Those tools are useless if your unconscious is working against you. And your unconscious is always more powerful than your conscious intentions. Jung understood this. He saw that people spend their lives chasing goals that contradict their actual psychological state, and then they wonder why success feels empty or why they sabotage themselves right before achieving what they claim to want. If you are fragmented, you will attract fragmented relationships. If you are dishonest with yourself, you will attract people who lie to you. If you are desperate for validation, you will attract people who withhold it. This is not punishment. This is resonance. You are a frequency and you attract frequencies that match your dominant internal state. Not your aspirations, not your persona, your actual unintegrated reality. This means that transformation is not about acquiring new things. It is about becoming a different person. It is about doing the internal work that shifts your frequency. When you change who you are at the deepest level, when you integrate your shadow, when you stop performing and start being, what you attract changes automatically. You do not need to chase. You do not need to manipulate. You simply become magnetic to what matches your wholeness. The third hidden law is that resistance intensifies what you avoid. Whatever you refuse to face, whatever you push away, whatever you pretend does not exist within you, grows stronger. It goes underground. It becomes a compulsion, an addiction, a pattern you cannot control. Jung called this the shadow, and he was clear that the shadow does not disappear when you ignore it. It gains power. It takes control of your behavior from the unconscious, and you become a puppet to forces you refuse to acknowledge. School taught you to suppress what is unacceptable, to hide your anger, to repress your fear, to perform confidence even when you feel uncertain. And this creates a split. It creates a persona that is acceptable and a shadow that is disowned. And the more you feed the persona, the more the shadow hungers. The more you pretend to be fine, the more your inner world deteriorates. The more you avoid facing your pain, your shame, your rage, your grief, the more those forces control you from beneath your awareness. The only way out is through. You must turn toward what you have been avoiding. You must descend into the parts of yourself you have labeled as unacceptable. You must meet your shadow with honesty instead of judgment. And when you do, when you stop resisting and start integrating, the energy that was trapped in avoidance becomes available for creation. The power you were using to suppress yourself becomes the power you use to build your life. The fourth hidden law is that meaning is more essential than happiness. This contradicts everything you were taught. You were told that the goal of life is to be happy, to feel good, to maximize pleasure and minimize pain. But Jung saw that happiness is a fleeting emotion, not a sustainable state. And people who chase happiness end up empty, distracted, addicted to whatever temporarily numbs the existential void they refuse to face. Meaning is different. Meaning comes from struggle. It comes from facing what is difficult and choosing to engage with it anyway. It comes from taking responsibility for your existence instead of outsourcing it to entertainment, to substances, to relationships, to anything that keeps you from confronting the weight of your own life. When you have meaning, you can endure anything. When you lack meaning, even comfort becomes unbearable. Stop chasing ease. Stop avoiding discomfort. Stop looking for the path that requires the least from you. That path leads nowhere. It leads to a life you tolerate instead of a life you inhabit. Choose the struggle that has meaning. Choose the difficulty that builds character. Choose the responsibility that transforms you into someone capable of carrying weight. This is how you build a life worth living. Not through the accumulation of pleasant moments, but through the forging of a self that can withstand reality without collapsing. The fifth hidden law is that you cannot individuate without solitude. You cannot become yourself while constantly performing for others. You cannot discover who you are beneath your roles while remaining immersed in social validation. Jung was explicit about this. Individuation requires withdrawal. It requires time alone where you are not being observed, not being judged, not being influenced by the expectations of others. But school taught you the opposite. It taught you that your value is determined by how well you fit in, how well you perform socially, how well you meet external standards. It taught you that being alone is a failure, that solitude is loneliness, that you should always be connected, always available, always engaged. And this keeps you fragmented. It keeps you dependent on external validation. It keeps you performing instead of being. You must reclaim solitude. You must create time every day where you are alone, not consuming content, not scrolling, not filling the space with noise, but simply being with yourself. This is where you hear your own voice. This is where you discover what you actually think, what you actually feel, what you actually want beneath the layers of conditioning. This is where you stop being a reflection of others and start becoming yourself. Solitude is not loneliness. Solitude is sanctuary. It is the space where you remember that you are complete without an audience, that your existence does not require validation, that you are enough. And when you know this, when you have cultivated this internal relationship, you stop clinging to others for completion. You stop betraying yourself for approval. You become free. The sixth hidden law is that your attention is your most valuable resource. Not your time, not your money, your attention. Because where your attention goes, your energy follows. And where your energy goes, your life takes shape. Jung understood that consciousness is the beginning of transformation. You cannot change what you are not aware of, and you cannot be aware of what you do not give attention to. But school never taught you to guard your attention. It taught you to give it away. To teachers, to authorities, to systems that benefit from your compliance. And now, every corporation, every platform, every advertisement is designed to colonize your attention, to pull you away from yourself, to keep you distracted, reactive, fragmented. And most people give it away freely. They scroll for hours. They consume endlessly. They let their attention be scattered across 1,000 meaningless inputs. And then they wonder why they feel empty, why they cannot focus, why their lives lack direction. Your attention is sacred. Treat it that way. Every moment you spend on something is a vote for what you value. Every piece of content you consume shapes your internal landscape. Every conversation you engage in either builds you or depletes you. Be ruthless about where you place your attention. Eliminate what drains you. Protect what nourishes you. Create space for depth instead of drowning in shallow distraction. When you reclaim your attention, when you stop giving it away to forces that do not serve your growth, you reclaim your life. You become capable of sustained focus. You become capable of deep work. You become capable of building something meaningful instead of reacting to whatever stimulus is in front of you. This is power. This is freedom. The seventh hidden law is that you are responsible for integrating your own suffering. No one is coming to save you. No guru, no therapist, no partner, no spiritual practice can do this work for you. They can guide you. They can support you. But the actual integration, the actual descent into your shadow, the actual facing of what you have been avoiding, that is yours alone. Jung was clear about this. Individuation cannot be outsourced. You cannot pay someone to become whole on your behalf, and school never prepared you for this. It taught you to look for external authority, to defer to experts, to believe that someone else has the answers you are missing. But the answers are not outside you. They are buried in the parts of yourself you have been taught to disown. In your pain, in your shame, in your rage, in your grief. In everything you have labeled as unacceptable and pushed into the unconscious. You must go there, you must face it. You must sit with the discomfort of your own unintegrated material without numbing it, without fixing it, without escaping it. This is brutal work. It is lonely work. It is the work that most people avoid their entire lives. But it is also the only work that matters. Because until you integrate your suffering, until you retrieve the parts of yourself you have disowned, you remain fragmented. You remain controlled by forces you do not understand. You remain incapable of living authentically. Integration does not mean the suffering disappears. It means you stop being ruled by it. It means you transform it into wisdom, into strength, into depth. It means you become someone who has faced their shadow and survived. And that makes you unshakable. That makes you whole. These 7 laws are not theoretical. They are operational. They are working in your life right now, whether you acknowledge them or not. Your external reality is mirroring your internal state. You are attracting what you are, not what you want. Your resistance is intensifying what you avoid. Your pursuit of happiness is keeping you from meaning. Your lack of solitude is preventing individuation. Your scattered attention is draining your life force. Your unintegrated suffering is controlling you from the unconscious. But now you know. Now you can choose differently. You can stop waiting for someone to teach you what school never did. You can stop blaming your confusion on a lack of information. You have the information now. What you do with it determines everything. You can continue living as you have been, or you can align yourself with these laws and transform. The choice is yours, but understand this. Ignorance is no longer your excuse. You know the rules now. Play the game accordingly.